wouldn't say they went crazy. I mean, it was
they got very upset.
They should be upset, though. I mean,
well, it's a crazy thing to say.
It is a crazy thing to say. Canada's not for sale. We're never going to be the 51st state. We love Americans as neighbors and friends, but we want to be uniquely and we want to be sovereign as Canadians.
So Joe Rogan just had Canadian Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre on his show. And Poilievre absolutely dismantled Trump's 51st state comments with the kind of blunt diplomacy we rarely see. This is the guy likely to be Canada's next prime minister, and he's not playing games. Let's break this down.
It's our country. It's where we grow up. You're a patriot as an American. I'm a patriot as a Canadian. It's where my grandfather arrived. It's where our collective ancestors put on military uniforms and sailed to fight wars. It's where our grandkids are going to live. We're very proudly Canadian. So we're never going to be the 51st state. And I just wish you'd knock that shit off so that we can get back to talking about the things that we can do as two separate but two separate countries that are actually friends.
This is remarkable diplomatic language, telling an American president to knock that shit off while you're campaigning to lead Canada. Poilievre leads Trudeau by 20 points in polling and could be prime minister within months. He's signaling a much tougher approach to U.S. relations than Canada's typical apologetic diplomacy.
Should get the tariffs out because there's so much we could be doing together as neighbors and partners if we got rid of those tariffs. I think what are the biggest problems in America today? Affordability, security. And we can help with both. We knock the tariffs down. Let's look at affordability. We got the fourth biggest supply of oil anywhere on Earth. You guys pay a huge price discount for our oil because we're effectively, all our infrastructure to ship it is north-south. And it's a very unique heavy oil. So we accept, unfortunately, and for now, a price discount on the oil we send you, which can translate into more jobs and paychecks, but also lower energy prices.
He's absolutely right. Tariffs are just taxes on American consumers. Canada has the world's third largest oil reserves after Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. Americans pay $3.40 per gallon nationally right now, and Canadian oil trades at a $15 to $20 discount to West Texas crude because of pipeline constraints.
About $5 a gallon right now in lots of places in America. I want to produce more so we can sell 2 million more barrels of Canadian oil into the U.S. market. And then there's housing. You've got huge housing pressures on young people. They can't afford a place to live. We're the biggest supplier of lumber for home building of any country that exports to the United States. We've got very low cost but high quality softwood lumber we could be shipping. Or the best-selling truck in America for 45 years now is the Ford Series.
The housing crisis is crushing young Americans. Median home prices hit 5.8 times median income, the worst ratio since 2006. The F-150 has been America's best-selling truck for 47 consecutive years, selling 650,000 units annually. Tariffs on Canadian aluminum literally tax Ford's most popular vehicle.
It's aluminum. It's a military-grade aluminum body. You guys can't make enough aluminum here. You don't have enough bauxite or electricity to convert it into alumina and aluminum. You get your aluminum from us. A tariff does not bring the production to America. It raises the price of the aluminum and therefore the F-Series truck. Get rid of that tariff. You lower taxes. You lower the cost of an F-Series truck for the miner in Appalachia or the electrician in Ohio.
Exactly right. America produces only 750,000 tons of aluminum annually, but consumes 5.6 million tons. The physics of aluminum production requires massive electricity, 13 to 15 megawatt hours per ton. Tariffs hit Trump's core base hardest: construction workers, miners, electricians who buy these trucks for work.
I would unblock our resources. So we have the most resources of any country in the world, per capita, bar none. We need to make it happen, though, we need to have the fastest permits anywhere in the world and the lowest taxes on producing those resources. We're the fourth in oil, the number one in uranium, number one in potash for fertilizer. We are the fifth biggest supplier of natural gas. We have the longest oceanic coastline. We have 12 of NATO's. We have 10 of 12 of NATO's defined defense minerals.
Canada controls 15% of global uranium production, essential for both nuclear power and weapons. NATO identified 12 critical defense minerals in 2022, and Canada dominates most of them. Potash is crucial for global food security. Canada produces 20 million tons annually, about 30% of world supply.
So, you had that guy, Palmer Luckey on. I don't think he can make his stuff without Canadian minerals. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe he'll correct me, but like night vision technology, you need to have germanium for that. You need to have gallium to make semiconductors and radar. You need to have aluminum for armored vehicles and airplanes. You need cobalt for heat-resistant alloys and fighter jets. You need tungsten for armor-piercing ammunition.
Palmer Luckey's Anduril makes autonomous weapon systems and surveillance tech for the Pentagon. These systems absolutely depend on Canadian germanium for night vision and gallium for radar semiconductors. Tariffing your defense supplier during a Cold War with China is strategically insane.
No. It's the most responsible oil extraction in the world.
But when you see these, what is that one area that often gets criticized?
Fort Mac.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they're open pit mines. You open up a mine, you take out the bitumen, you separate the sand from the oil, you make it less viscous by putting diluent in it, and you ship it off. And then after the mining is done, they resurface it, and you wouldn't even know there was a mine there.
And there's no impact to groundwater, no impact to the environment.
I mean, there's an impact no matter what you do, but at the end of the day, the people who live there are very healthy and very happy, and they're the strongest supporters of the expansion of the oil sands.
Compare oil sands reclamation to cobalt mining in Congo using child labor, or lithium extraction destroying water tables in Chile. The Athabasca region has some of Canada's highest living standards and life expectancy. When local communities support resource extraction, that's the strongest environmental validation possible.
Of poverty, they're getting enormous job opportunities out of it. One of our MPs is a former chief, where they took 18% unemployment, brought it down to 3%, balanced their budget. Another one of my members of parliament in northern British Columbia negotiated a $40 billion LNG plant on the Haisla territory. It's completely eliminating poverty for the First Nations there. And by exporting clean Canadian natural gas, which we can liquefy 25% cheaper because it's cold as hell in Canada, they actually displace dirty coal overseas. So instead of Asia burning coal, they're burning clean Canadian gas that's delivered by First Nations partnership. So this is the best way to do it. Makes everybody richer and makes our entire continent better off.
This is the real climate solution. Replacing coal with natural gas cuts emissions 50%. Asia burns 4 billion tons of coal annually. Every LNG terminal Canada builds prevents more emissions than any solar panel subsidy. Indigenous partnerships prove resource development can lift communities out of poverty sustainably.
You double the number of dollars to 20, but you still only have 10 apples. Well, all of a sudden it's $2 an apple. It's not that the cost of apples has gone up. It still costs the same resources to grow and pick the apples. It's that the price has gone up because the value of the money has gone down.
Right.
So in America, over the last 55 years, you've doubled the number of homes in America from about 70 million to 150 million. You know how much the money supply has grown? 30 times. So you have twice the homes, but 30 times the cash. So what's happened? Housing costs have gone up 15-fold in 55 years. And now an entire generation of kids can't afford homes.
The Federal Reserve expanded money supply from $800 billion in 2008 to $9 trillion by 2022. This isn't complex economics. It's theft from workers who hold cash to asset holders who own homes and stocks. Young Americans need 8.5 years of median income to buy a median home versus 3.2 years in 1980.
And Washington and Wall Street love it, by the way, because it inflates the stock market. It inflates the bureaucracy. Politicians get to spend. CEOs get their stocks inflated. But it destroys the working people, and we need to get back to hard money. Everything should be getting cheaper, by the way. You know, it takes 60 to 80% less resources to grow food. We grow 4 times the food on the same acre, get 4 times as much milk from the same cow. We use 80% less water and fertilizer. So why isn't it that food is not less expensive? It's because all of those gains are being erased by monetary inflation.
In a sound money system, technology makes everything cheaper over time. Agricultural productivity gains should mean cheaper food, not 23% food inflation. The productivity dividend gets stolen through monetary debasement, transferring wealth from productive workers to financial speculators and government bureaucrats.
And we need to do what the Swiss do, which is they don't print money. They have balanced budgets, they have almost no deficit, and they have almost zero inflation in Switzerland. They have the strongest money in the world, the Swiss franc. And we would all be better if we operated like the Swiss when it comes to our money.
Switzerland ran budget surpluses 15 of the last 20 years while maintaining 2.8% unemployment and the world's highest wages. Their franc gained 60% against the dollar since 2000. Swiss voters actually rejected a universal basic income because they understand money printing destroys prosperity.
This is about internalizing scarcity. Every creature in the universe, every bird in the trees, every fish in the seas has to live with scarcity, maximizing use of scarce resources. The only creature who doesn't do that is the politician, because he's always using someone else's money. Right? It's like, oh, well, I'll just print it or borrow it or tax it. It's not my money. And so they routinely show up to their cabinet meetings and say, well, I've got a new idea. It's $100 million. Where are you going to get it? I don't know. We'll print it. We'll borrow it. We'll tax it. Not my money. But if you had a law saying you can't actually bring a proposal to cabinet unless you have matching savings to pay for it, well, then you'd have these politicians walking up and down the hallways in their departments looking for waste and like rooting it out. So instead of making the single mom, the senior, or the small business owner live with scarcity, I want the politicians and bureaucrats to live with scarcity. And that's what I would impose by law on my government.
The PAYGO law from 1990 to 2002 required every spending increase to have matching cuts. Result? 4 consecutive budget surpluses under Clinton. Politicians behave rationally when constrained. They find waste when forced to. Remove the constraint and spending explodes like water through a broken dam.
Like if you think that human nature is so flawed that people cannot make decisions for themselves, then how could you possibly trust human nature to make decisions for other people, to impose decisions on their lives? And who watches the watchmen? You know,
Right.
we're constantly told
Right.
we need to be kind of guided by these people from ivory towers. But who are these angels anyway?
Right.
They're just human beings like everyone else. So when you give them more power and you give them the power to impose their will on people, then that ultimately gets abused.
Yes.
So you're right, even when somebody is doing something that I don't agree with, and I would think it would be better for all of us if they didn't do it, the mal that is done by giving me the power to impose my decision-making on them is worse than the benefit of trying to direct them towards a better decision.
This cuts straight to Hayek's fatal conceit, the idea that technocrats can manage society better than free individuals. The administrative state has 2.2 million federal employees making rules for 330 million Americans. If human nature is flawed, concentrating power makes that flaw catastrophically dangerous.
Well said.
That's my philosophy.
That's why I like you.
Well, that's where I
You
come
make a
from.
lot of sense.
It's pretty simple. I think all the best things in life are simple. You know, we overcomplicate things. Government is way too complicated. You know, I think we need to get back to the simplicity. The greatest speech in the English language was Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, 271 words. You know, Einstein compressed mass and energy into a 5-character equation. Bruce Lee was an advocate of simplicity. Like, simplicity is a virtue, and I think we have to get back to simplicity, especially in government. Simpler, clearer, easier to manage. That's the kind of the philosophical take I pursue.
Lincoln's Gettysburg Address redefined American democracy in 272 words. The U.S. Constitution established a government in 4,500 words. Today's federal tax code runs 2.4 million words. Complexity isn't sophistication. It's a tool for bureaucrats to hide power and avoid accountability through incomprehensible rules.